Oh, wow. Okay. I just want to thank everyone for their patience. I saw a lot of emails coming in that first link didn't work for some reason. So thank you all so much for your patience. And let me see.
This is Wade. If you use the link for the Zoom in the subject line, that will work. But the link underneath didn't.
But the link underneath, Wade, you're educating me. I don't know why they were different, but that's good to know. Okay. If you want to, yeah. I don't know if you can do that or not. Okay. Amanda Espinoza, are you on the call at all today? I can't see. There's so many people. Okay. She might join us later, so I will get going on the conversation, and hopefully if Amanda joins us later, we'll jump in there. Uh-oh. Yeah. There we go. Okay. I just wanted to start off and give some quick updates. We have received our award announcements from ODOT, and through formula funds, we have again been funded for Henry County Transportation Network. In fact, they got a little bit of a bump this year for some maintenance updates. Triangular processing and my mobility management program were all funded as well. I had a conversation with Macy last week from ODOT, and one of the things she was talking about was how important it was to fund vehicles and make sure that our fleets of vehicles are staying updated. And so if you had applied for ODOT funding and I'm not aware of it, that's perfectly fine. I don't need to know, but I would like to know, because I would like to see more of our government and nonprofit transportation providers. I just want to really encourage you to be applying for vehicles. It's considered a capital purchase, and so that's an 80-20 match. You can get, you know, if you're currently paying 100% for your vehicles, you get 80% of your vehicles covered. There are requirements. You'd have to apply for the grant, and there's quarterly reports, but there is quite a bit of cost savings. So I really want to encourage any of our providers out there to consider, and if you're intimidated by grant writing, like, give me a call, like, let me help you. But I think that is a really easy thing that we could do to try to increase, like, one, our fleets, our size of fleets, and just the age of our fleets. So yeah, government or nonprofits, senior centers, nonprofits, all of y'all, please consider contacting me. One of the things that was funded, but we're looking for vehicles, but we're looking for additional operating funding stream, is a pilot project to help people in Fulton County looking for transportation for dialysis. And it's not necessarily for Medicaid, people who are Medicaid or seniors, it's just a general across the board dialysis trips. And I think it's an awesome opportunity, and I don't want to like lose the funding stream that we did get a hold of. So I'm putting that out there to everyone on the call. If you have any organizations or ideas, please feel free to give me a call or an email after. Looking to fund that program if I can. Then my last funding bullet point is on Transportation Alternatives Program. I kind of mentioned this last year, but we applied for some sidewalks in Antwerp and Bryan, and we were able to get those funded. And it was my first time working with sidewalk projects, and I have to tell you, those are expensive. Holy moly. I think the one was $100,000, the other was $175,000. So that TAP grant is going to become, there's like a letter of interest, and that comes available on October 1st. And then there's a whole process with that. So if you do have any active transportation projects that you're looking to have funded, I know I've been working with the Defiance Health Department on something, and NORDA for the Wabash Cannonball Trail on something, but keep that in mind. Contact me after this if that is something that you might have some interest in, see if it works with your projects. Okay, I have invited Christina Deer, and I hope they can hear you from there. If not, you might have to come up here. But she is part of our regional transportation planning organization. She organizes that at Maumee Valley Planning, and we are going through a transportation improvement plan process right now. So I just asked her to come and talk a little bit about that. I'm going to mute my sound.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Deer. I help manage the RTPO for our region. Am I echoing on your end as bad as I am on my end? Okay, I'll get to this continue. Okay, so a very, I
You can come up to mine.
Did you mute yours?
Yeah. Oh, no. Let me try that.
All right. I think everybody should be able to hear me a lot better. I'm sorry about that technical difficulty. So my name's Christina Deer. I help manage the RTPO for our region. Usually ODOT lets our work program be defined based on our staff. However, there is one important piece that is always required of ODOT, which is called the rural consultation. And that is coming up, and I'd like to invite you to it. It's on September 21st, 2022 from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. at Northwest State Community College. It's in conference room C200. If you would like to come, so this is not a public meeting. However, everybody who sits on this board is invited. So what is the rural consultation? So ODOT updates the statewide transportation improvement program on a biannual basis. And one of the first steps of updating the STIP is to meet with ODOT districts 1 and 2 and to share the programmed list of projects that the state has come up with for projects to be funded. And so at this rural consultation meeting, everybody comes and reviews what these projects are and asks ODOT representatives questions. And everything decided at the rural consultation will impact our region's RTIP for the 2024-2027 state fiscal year. So it's important. Again, this is going to be hosted on Wednesday, September 21st from 1:30 to 3:30. It's an open house, so come when you can at Northwest State Community College, conference room C200. Are there more questions about this?
Christina, if they have a project that they want to see addressed, who should they contact and talk about that?
If they see a project that they want to see addressed, they can either contact me, which my phone number is 419-784-3882, or you can email me at planner2@mbpo.org. That's the number 2. Or also just the best place to ask questions and receive feedback is at the rural consultation open house. When ODOT individuals and when ODOT staff and our staff are all there in one place and can answer the questions, but phone, email is always welcomed.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the rest of the group?
Kim, this is Tony. I just want to, is that the meeting that we had talked about and you said, yeah, you could come, but it wasn't necessary that you come? I just want to make sure that we don't miss it if it's something we should be at.
Yeah, Tony, it's that exact meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Coordinated plans. As we talked about in our last meeting, we want to review our coordinated plan every year and make sure that we're making adjustments and just keeping up with it each year. And so I have put out a provider information form to all our providers and updating that data. It's due to ODOT at the last quarter of the year. So just trying to make sure that it's always up to date. I did have some really good conversations with some folks about suggestions for updates. And so I did put down on the second page of the agenda, I think it's the second page of the agenda, some of those updates. Some of the things that people propose to me is we have 3 goals. Our first goal is to work together as a regional cooperation. And second goal is increasing resources. Third goal is to educate the public and elected officials on what transportation we do have in the region, in the area. And so some of the action steps or goals that people ask that I include or update were developing programs which stakeholders can partner to create solutions for unmet needs. And that's under goal number 1. Another action step was support economic development and workforce development. Then under goal 2, we had increased resources and capacity of transportation within the region, including vehicles, technology, and revenue streams. As we talk later on, there's some providers who are interested in working with more technology, scheduling software and things like that. So if that's something our providers are looking into and are considering expanding on, I want to make sure that's part of our coordinated plan and that we are supporting them in that. Are there any, I know I asked this like last meeting, but I'm just, someone might come on mute and say something. Are there other things, edits, updates to the coordinated plan that the people in the committee here today would like to see, or thoughts, ideas? I would suggest switching goals 1 and 2. Okay, so Kathy Shaw messaged me and suggested switching goal 1 or 2 to become goal 1 and goal 1 to goal 2. So that would make it efficient utilization of resources. I see value in that. Any other thoughts?
I guess I'd like to know why.
Oh, sure. Kathy, I don't know if you can come off mute, but Christina asked if you would be willing to talk a little bit about why you recommend that.
Yeah, I guess from my standpoint, if I'm a grant reviewer and we're requesting operating funds and vehicles, I'm going to want to look at what the region feels is the main priority of the region. So I would offer that I would want to give ODOT every reason to fund us, and that, the nuts and bolts of, I can't speak for the other providers, but if I don't have resources, I can't collaborate on a regional system. So I first have to have the resources I need, and then I will certainly share those resources. But without one, we can't do 2. Without the resources, we can't collaborate.
Uh-oh.
I have a question. But what is the main objective? Isn't the main objective to seek regional transportation cooperation?
I guess that depends on your perspective. My perspective is if I don't have vehicles and operating funds, I can't participate in a regional system. Neither could, I would imagine, Henry County Transportation Network if if they're applying for their funding, and if I'm a grant reviewer, and I'm not an expert on this, but
Mhm.
you know, I think it's probably helpful that as we're applying for resources from outside of the area, them seeing that that's our number one goal is to shore up our resources, then, you know, maybe they'll be less inclined to fund those if they don't see that that's the top priority of this committee.
This is Tony Long, and I agree with what Kathy's saying, because it seems to me, and of course, I'm new to transportation, but it feels to me when I read that, that goal 1 actually supports goal 2. And so it makes sense that it would follow it.
Okay.
I actually view it the opposite, but I'm not in the transportation world. Kim, what is your opinion on that?
Man. I feel like I would love for the Seeking Regional Transportation Cooperation to be 1, but I do think where we're at today in 2022, probably just making sure that we're getting resources would be our first goal. But someday I'd love to see that Seeking Regional Transportation Cooperation being number 1.
That I would say then I would support that. I think that if that's where we're at, then that makes sense.
It's reality. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I will do is I will type what they have is in previous coordinated plans, they have like an addendum page that gets added every year for the annual review. And I will add our action steps and our reorganization of goals. I'll send it out to this committee, and I'm just going to ask everyone, I'll have like a link to vote so that you can vote if you support this or don't support those changes. I think that's easiest when you consider how many people are on this actual committee. And then, and we'll move forward with submitting that annual review to ODOT here. It's not due, I think, until November, but we won't have another TCC committee meeting until December. So I wanted to get it in this committee meeting. And if you were a little shy and didn't want to jump on and say anything about ideas or suggestions, please, feel free to call or email me. I have no problem sending an email and saying, oh, there's another suggestion or idea. Okay, I did see that Henry County Transportation Network was on the call. Are you there? Yay, there they are. I think you're on mute, Steph. Steph, you're on mute. I can't hear you. Uh-oh. We're having some technical difficulties, so we might give them a break here for a second. No. I see your mouth moving. Okay. Okay, well, Stephanie works on that. I'm going to give another quick update. So ODOT is more and more recently paying for mobility managers to go to some training exercises. So they are paying for me to go to a passenger assistance training. And they're saying that we can, as mobility managers, therefore go get these like train the trainer courses and then go out to providers and be the trainers, saving providers money on having to hire people or provide it in-house. And that's exciting for me. So what I did is I went through the coordinated plan and I looked at what all our providers said, what trainings they are currently providing to their drivers. And I see it's first aid, CPR, wheelchair, seatbelt securement, defensive driving, and drive training. It seems like there's 2 different types of drive training based on what people were saying in the coordinated plan. So I am going to try to keep my eye out for those kind of trainings. I think it might be strategic in if I see any of those kind of trainings and I can be trained on it, and therefore the key is what ODOT teaches me is that if I offer the training, I have to offer it to everyone. So it's not like I can just offer it to certain agencies, because again, mobility management is supposed to be for everyone. for-profit, nonprofit, government, everyone. So that is something that will hopefully be coming in the next few months, years, is that I'll have more and more trainings I can offer to providers in the region. Steph, you're back. You're smiling. You're muted. And you're still, I can't hear you. Yeah. Look at your settings and see if you're connected to your. Are you connected to your computer, speaker, in your settings, Steph? I'll be honest, I don't know. Okay, yep, take your time.
Can you hear us now?
Yay, you're a genius.
Yay.
I'm so proud
I
of
have
you.
never had this kind of an issue. I have no idea what is going on, but we have been from office to office, computer to computer. We are here. And Jeff is here also. We just are all in my tiny little office trying to do this so we can get some information to you guys. So we will have IT come and fix all of this for the next meeting that we have, so you don't have to wait on us, because we don't like to be late and we like to be prompt. And this is kind of not us typically, so.
Mhm.
So as Stephanie said, we are kind of the new directorship here at Henry County Transportation Network. So I am Amanda Espinoza. I'm the Director of Administrative Operations and Human Resources. And
And I'm Stephanie Honick, and I'm the Director of Finance, so the grants. I'm also the liaison between ODOT and HCTN. And so all of our invoicing, payroll, anything financially related comes through me. And then
I'm over here.
doesn't turn.
I'm Jeff Cameron. I'm our Director of Operations. Basically oversee all of our drivers and our vehicle maintenance and most everything to do with our day-to-day operations.
So I was hoping that you guys might tell us a little bit about you got a really nice grant award this year. I know I saw in the paper that you wrote that it wasn't as much as you actually were hoping for, but do you want to talk about some of the like capital improvements that you're working on and where you see yourselves going in the next year or so?
Yeah, well, actually, the frustrating part of that is, you know, we were actually awarded more for 2023 than we've ever been awarded before.
Mhm.
And in our exit interview with ODOT, with Chris Craves and Alex Ewers, what we did find out is that the grant award document that was sent to us actually had a mistake on the part of ODOT. So we actually received almost, what did we say, 89% of what we asked for. We had some folks saying that we received $1 million less than what was requested, and that's actually not true. We were basically, the only thing that we were not awarded was one additional replacement vehicle and about $150,000 in operating assistance, which we are going to get the opportunity to resubmit a new revised budget and have that re-awarded. So we're very, very confident moving into 2023 about our financial situation with our contracts that we have, and then also with this wonderful grant award from ODOT. Our state GRF is up. We have, you know, really great contracted agencies that we work with every day. And they help to provide that local match to us. And, you know, the other part of our funding source is through those wonderful contracted agencies. So right now, we will be receiving a new letter. Any applications or adjustments to our operating budget and reallocation of funds is going to happen before October. So there will be another release of our 5311 award sometime in October. So be watching for that, and hopefully we'll be getting some positive press here for Northwest Ohio.
Mhm. And didn't you have a bus facility? What are you planning on making improvements there? There was like a really nice award that you got about facilities.
So originally, previously, there was a facilities grant that was awarded for us to purchase the old Walmart building. And we were awarded the $2 million to do that, to buy that property and to renovate it. Our commissioners did not think that was feasible, or there was some discussion there prior to us becoming the directors as to why that did not happen. I think there might have also been some private interest in that building as well. And in our facility that we're in right now, we could use some updates and put into this facility that will help us to be here long term. So we are going to have some drains redone here in the floors, so that in the winter months and the bad weather, we can, you know, have snow melting off of vans and it's not running into the offices and not creating slipping hazards, safety hazards. Also opening up another entrance into this building so that we actually have a true in and a true out, instead of everybody trying to come in the same door. We are putting a new roof on our building as we speak. So if you hear banging or sawing or whatever, there's a lot of sounds coming through the ceiling right now. But it's just really allowing us to do make some upgrades to our current facility. That was something that we all kind of decided we didn't need a new facility. We just needed to improve the one that we already have.
Very cool. Well, congratulations on that award. I was so happy that day when I saw how much you had, the 2 million that you've been awarded, and to know that you're going to maybe even get more. That's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful for Henry County. And, you know, we are transporting some folks in Defiance and Fulton County DD clients, and this is going to help us to be in a better position to do some regionalization at some point when we do get ready to do that.
Awesome. In the other counties? They have a contract with the Board of DD. Steph, are you transporting anyone else in Defiance other than the Board of DD clients?
I'm going to let Amanda talk about that, because that's kind of Amanda's part. She is the one that knows and handles all of those contracts and handles the daily ins and outs of the plans that change with the individuals that we transport and all of that. So Amanda's gonna probably speak about that.
No, we do not have any other contract with the other counties other than with the Board of DD. So there has been talk of Fulton County and Defiance County Senior Center needing assistance, but no, we cannot do that. There's no contract involved there. It's just disabled individuals that fall under our triangular kind of contract that we can bill for through triangular processing.
Do you have questions on that, Katie?
Yeah, so is that like medical appointments, or is that educational, or what would that fall under?
It would be, we take people to work, to the individuals that do community employment, or to a vocational day hab. If they're coming from Fulton County, coming to, say, Henry County, to do any soaring arts or anything like that, or going to triangular processing for a day hab. That's what we would be transporting for.
Thank you. Do they have to be going to Henry County, or is it anywhere?
Did you hear that question?
We take folks from Henry County that go to triangular processing for work. We have individuals from Henry County that work in Defiance County. We take Defiance County individuals, some of them work in Archibald. It's just wherever they work. And as those transportation requests come in, I take a look at our current schedule, what our current flow is during that need. I can try to assist people with, if the schedule's up in the air, and it's kind of being able to be made still, I try to help meet the needs of everybody, but there are some unmet needs I know that we've had to turn away at this moment that we're actually having at least 4 people coming in for an interviews next week, so we can hire more drivers because we have an increased need. We feel that we can serve more people if we have more drivers that are willing to work those hours that we're just so stretched thin.
Mhm. So Amanda, typically if you will provide rides for folks who are either the trip is starting or ending in Henry County, for those
Correct.
individuals with developmental disabilities, is that the same requirement or no?
No, that is built in with our triangular processing contract, that if we are included on their plan. So currently, right now, Brad, I believe it was in the winter, added Defiance County.
Mhm.
And I think we've always been doing some of Fulton County.
Right. So it's typically like if an individual is on a transportation waiver through their board of DD, correct? There
Correct.
might be some exceptions to that, but okay.
On average, how many people pay?
Did you hear that, Amanda?
No, I can't
That's
hardly
okay.
understand her.
They asked how many on average, how many trips a day does Henry County Transportation Network make?
I think the latest number I saw was like 280.
280? Huh? A day, yeah. Is that right, Amanda? 280 a day?
Yeah,
Yeah. And just so you know, when we count trips per ODOT, it's one way. So if I'm going to Walmart, going there is one trip and coming back is one trip.
correct.
Round trip, if you think of it that way, yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I just did tomorrow's schedule myself just because we had an absence in the office and there was 100 and not including any of our routes that are already pre-sat, there was like 180 rides, trips in the pen, you could call it, that needed to have a home. So that was that we have at least 100 probably that are already pre-sat in people's routes already. But yeah, we're kind of at max capacity right now. So if any of you are on the call and have gotten emails that we can or cannot do things, we are, 5311 funded, so we are public transportation. We cannot prioritize services. So that's a big thing. It's something that's hard for a lot of people to get used to based on what we were 5310 in the past, where we were specialized transportation for developmentally disabled and elderly. And now that we are public transportation, it's first come, first serve. When we're full, we're full. When we're full. So we are definitely hiring more drivers. So we don't have to keep saying that every other phone call.
Right. I had a couple questions come through while you're talking. How large is your fleet, Amanda? Or Jeff? I don't know.
We have about 29 vehicles that we
29.
utilize right now.
And how many drivers do you employ? A lot of them are part-time.
37. That's a
Could you-
mixture of full and part-time.
Yeah.
I think there is 8, I would say 8 full-time and the rest are part-time. There are some that are technically on the payroll that are bus drivers as their full-time job. So they are back in school now, so they only are able to give like one or 2 days of pay, availability, evening availability as needed. So we're stretched thin on the morning, the super early morning hours. We're stretched thin around 2 o'clock. We have 60 rides at 2 o'clock, and they're in every which way possible, and medical trips for the general public and the senior center of Henry County that we have our contract with, JFS contract. I mean, we take somebody to chemo daily, Monday through Friday, for a 20-minute chemo treatment, but it's all the way in Bryan. So those kind of trips are great for part-timers that we don't have to take a full-timer off of a route or off of a pre-scheduled trip. But we are working to fill those needs.
Those 37 drivers fluctuate depending on whether someone's out for a medical leave, or some of the drivers that we have are, retired. So maybe they want to go to Florida for a month, or have family to visit, or things like that. So we try to work around those schedules. It's kind of hard to bring people on and then have them kind of sit out and wait for hours. So it's kind of a weird, delicate dance, if you will, of knowing how many drivers or people to have on your payroll. And, once you hire somebody, we don't want to lay anyone off. It's just, it's a delicate balance there between having just enough and having too many.
Okay.
So I have a question. I have a client that works for KMP. She gets paid by the ride. So if she has 12 rides scheduled and 10 canceled, she only gets paid for those 2 rides. The reason I'm asking is because this is about driving is about the only job she can do. And she is looking for more hours and probably would be willing to do that. Do you pay by the hour, or do you pay by the ride?
By the hour.
Okay.
You become a county employee when you work for Henry County Transportation Network, because we are a county entity, even though we are not part of the county's general fund. And, we do not receive general county dollars directly from the commissioners. We are still county employees. So when you become a part-time employee of HCTN, you are an employee of Henry County.
Okay. I might send her over.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I have a question here in the chat. If we have someone who has a need, how do they request assistance? Do they just call your number?
Yep, they called we're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. We do have an email address that goes to all of us downstairs. That's schedules@hctn.co. That's how we have requested schedules to come in, just so multiple people have eyes on that and are double checking those schedules coming through and responding. But yeah, calling us would be the best case scenario for a first time person, just so we make sure we're all on the same page with if they fall under any of our contracts that we currently have in place, and if the time frame for what their need is, if we're able to successfully meet that.
Now, at this point in time, it's probably a good idea to mention that, although we do transport some DD clients for Defiance and Fulton County, that does not open the door to public transportation in Defiance and Fulton County at this time. Now, we would, we're getting everything kind of reined back in and making this as well oiled and as in tune as possible before we would do any further regionalization or expansion. But so it is always good to call, because then they can make sure that they qualify for our services at this time. Now, what you qualify for now may change in another 6 months or another year, but as of right now, we don't have the availability to take, for instance, a senior from Fulton County to the Henry County Hospital. They would have to be the other way around.
Right. Somebody else asked in the chat if in your new cycle of grant awards, did you expand your fleet at all, or is it all just replacement vehicles?
There was only one expansion vehicle that we were awarded. The vehicles that we were awarded were all replacement vehicles. The one expansion vehicle we felt that we could use primarily for dialysis patients. We do not have a dialysis center here in Henry County, and So we are transporting dialysis patients to Fulton County, Defiance County, Lucas County. We are constantly on the road, transporting people for dialysis. So it would be nice to have a vehicle that's strictly dedicated to dialysis.
Right. Steph and Amanda, and when you guys are done, can you please put your contact numbers and the things that we said earlier? Could you put those in the chat?
Yes.
That was
yes,
a request.
for
yeah.
sure. I'll do that after we get done talking, because we're having some split screen things. So I'll do that over time.
No, it's okay. I couldn't
Yeah.
get the camera to work for my computer, so I'm not the person to judge at all.
Oh,
Hey, Cam.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was someone who spoke up and said something. Was it someone who was a K&P driver who was expressing concerns, like if they had cancellations on their schedule and not getting enough hours?
Yes, she said she was K&P. Of course, the person who asked that stepped out of the room for a second.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask. That kind of upsets me that somebody would be, rather than coming to me saying they're not getting enough hours,
It's true. I'll make sure
go
it's
somewhere else where I can't fix the issue if I don't know about it. So
true. I'll make sure to say that to Katie after the meeting's over.
yeah, I'd be curious to talk to her about that.
Okay. Yep. Christina, you had a question? No.
Are all of the vehicles on their fleet at one point in time paid for through this grant? Or do they ever just have their own funds that they buy a vehicle?
I think I know the answer, but I'll have, Steph, your fleet of vehicles, are any of them paid in other ways other than through the ODOT grant, or are they all through the ODOT grant?
well, we have match money that comes from our contracted agencies, and sometimes we get some donated local match money for that. We are fortunate enough to have a transit reserve account, which allows us to take any additional funding that we have and kind of put it aside for those types of things, and then we can use that at our discretion. So during CARES Act, when it was 100% reimbursable, we were able to do some things that we're not currently able to do. But for the most part, our vehicles are funded by ODOT.
Yeah.
The veterans van, I mean, we did get a van from the Veterans Association. We did buy a van last year from Defiance Board of DD to add to our fleet. It was an extra vehicle that they had that they were not using, and that was kind of benefit there. I'm trying to think.
With the transit, we bought one of our transit.
We bought one of our transits out of transit reserve. So it's yeah, and then they are owned by us. I mean, it's not like ODOT's gonna say, oh, well, we don't think you're putting enough miles on that vehicle, we're gonna take that and give that to such and such county. Those are our vehicles for their useful life.
Yeah. And then ODOT has a disposition policy practice so that after so many years or so many miles, it becomes fully owned by Henry County. So, yep.
That was
Okay.
a speaking point, I guess, on our award, that stated in the newspaper, that some vehicle projects were not funded due to not meeting disposition requirements. But we clarified that with ODOT as to, is this something that we did wrong in the grant application process, or is this something that it was just the way the vehicles scored? And so they explained the scoring of how vehicles and dispositioning, and we go through our fleet based on what has not been dispositioned based on year and mileage of the vehicle. And we put our next two in line for disposition, and one was close to meeting that.
Met the miles, but not the years.
Yeah, I met the miles, but not the years. The year of the vehicle was not, and so he said everybody runs into that issue. They just score you differently. So ours scored lower than somebody, say in a different county, and like say Chillicothe or something like that county that potentially their vehicles were not working at all, or they were awarded obviously the first pick of the vehicles. But they're pushing all ODOT grant holders to fix vehicles that we have that maybe we were going to that have been dispositioned in ODOT's eyes, but are non-repairable, we thought, but everything's repairable with the cost, but with the vehicle shortage, they are really pushing for us to fix what we have because they can't control what's coming out at what time.
Right. Yep. There's a long wait or lead time on purchasing and receiving vehicles. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, we still have not taken possession of any of our 2022 vehicles.
Mhm.
You know, and those were ordered in 2021. So if you think about that, it takes a long time. So obviously a vehicle that we may not feel is worth putting the money into may now be worth putting the money into to get it back on the road so that, you know, in the time that we wait. So,
Right.
And
And
then-
Macy had said to the mobility managers that their disposition process may be changing. And that's something that might be coming out. I think she said in October or November. So
we're pretty fortunate that our fleet is as new and as nice as it is. And, you know, we have this indoor parking, which allows our vehicles to stay out of the weather and the exposure to the elements that, you know, other vehicles get. So we're pretty fortunate there. It helps us to maintain the life of these vehicles.
right. Okay. So the other thing that Macy had mentioned to me last week when I chatted with her was that, you know, we got the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed through Congress. And so a lot more formula dollars, transit formula dollars are coming down to the states. But what Macy said she saw was that with the vehicle replacement, that vehicles have gone up so much that a lot of that the bill dollars have actually been sucked up by just replacing our current fleet of vehicles in the state of Ohio. So it's good that we had those funds, but they're not being utilized, I think, in the way that was intended. It's just maintaining because of inflation. So that's something to consider as well.
Right. And when you look at our grant award and you see preventative maintenance, you know, you can use the term capital maintenance interchangeably. That preventative maintenance is our vehicle maintenance award. So all of our oil changes and any kind of preventative maintenance that we do on our vehicles, that's how much money we've been given with federal dollars to do that. And then one of the things about replacement vehicles, I just got an email from Alex Ewers, forwarded that on to Jeff, that, you know, just because these vehicles have been ordered doesn't mean that the price doesn't continue to fluctuate until we receive them. So we actually just received another invoice for a vehicle that was ordered that we haven't taken possession of that has now gone up even more. But ODOT was generous to kick in 80% of that increase. So that is really nice of them to do that.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much, Henry County Transportation Network. I really appreciate you, one, getting to see all your faces and people getting to hear about you. I think this was really helpful. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thanks for
Thank
bearing
you.
with us. And next time we'll be on the bigger screen and, you know, we'll be 15 minutes early. So
There you go.
get IT on this.
I wanted to to wrap up the meeting with, I have a steering committee, Tony Long from the Adams Board, Defiance Economic Development, Erica, Kathy Shaw from Triangular Processing, Aaron Keller from K&P, oh my gosh, Tom Stuckey from Henry County Transportation Network. And if I forgot someone there, please know you're very important to me. But we have a really nice team on this committee, and I like it because we have for-profits, nonprofits, government providers. We have people considering human services agencies and economic development. And one of the things that they challenged me on a while ago in one of our meetings was, what is a vision statement or something you would like to see in the area? And so what I did was I did a little research, and I know you guys have all heard this discussion before, but I'm going to revamp it a little bit for people who haven't. And what I found is there is a statewide transportation needs study. And what they showed in this study is that this is like the hierarchy of transportation. Fixed route systems are somewhere where you'll find in high density areas, so like urban areas. I'm not even trying to suggest that we are going towards this fixed route system model, but we do have non-emergency medical transportation with K&P Medical and others, and we also have human service transportation. That's our senior centers, that's the triangular processing and nonprofits of the world. So I would say, in looking at this hierarchy, our next goal is, one, to utilize the sources of transportation providers we do have, but to try to look at this dial-a-ride general public demand response. So that is what I took to the committee. I said, I think that having a call center, ride brokerage, something along those lines. So what that kind of looks like is we have all these stakeholders and a lead agency in the middle. That lead agency is the one who's going to make contracts with all these folks and say, you know, we will provide under these transportation under these circumstances, under this model. And our idea is to have this lead agency actually have some kind of technology that would assist with scheduling and sharing rides. So one of the things that Amanda kind of hit on is, you know, when they're booked and they can't take on any more rides. Well, under this ride brokerage model, what would happen is the Henry County not being able to take that ride would kick it to the lead agency, which would then go to the network of providers and say, okay, Henry County Transportation Network can't take this. Could maybe a taxi who's part of our brokerage, or could Triangular Processing, could there be another agency who could pick up that ride? This could potentially bring more income in for those other transportation providers. And instead of having the rider themselves have to call and know exactly who they can call and who qualifies, it would be a one-time call or click, depending on how we set it up. And we would be able to send it out to all the providers to see if anyone would be able to take that ride. That's a 5,000 degree look at that of a ride brokerage model. And some of the models that are doing this in the state of Ohio, just real quick, we have Area Office on Aging 3, that's south of us. It's Allen, Auglaize, it's a bunch of counties. And what they do is they have a dial-a-ride or find-a-ride program. It's a call center. They actually partner with their 211, and people can call and schedule rides. It goes out on their, however they do that. And even like K&P works as part of one of their ride brokerage providers. The way that they do this is that they're receiving match from the Area Office on Aging because they are the Area Office on Aging in that region. And they also use levy dollars, United Way dollars. They have lots of partners. This is a very successful dial-a-ride, find-a-ride operation. Now they operate under 5310, so that means they are serving seniors and individuals with disabilities primarily, but they'll help everyone as much as they can. It's just, it would not necessarily be free or lower cost if you weren't in those populations. The other agency in the state of Ohio is Southeast Area Transit. They are 5311. They actually, if you go to their website, they have this really cool, like you can click into their system and schedule rides and do all sorts of cool things. But because they're public transit, their match are coming, just like what Henry County mentioned just now, are coming from contracts, JFS. They also go to their county and municipalities who help with some matches. They have a foundation. But Southeast Area Transit is working on this dial-a-ride program, and they're actually just now creating a call center. It's part of the Mobility Ohio pilot program, and they were awarded $2 million in federal dollars for that pilot program. And that's on top of the 4.7 million that FEET received in the 2023 funding. So I just look to see a lot because they're kind of this model in rural transportation. They're working together with multiple counties, Muskingum, Guernsey, Noble, and Belmont, and they're really making, it looks like they're being very successful in what they're doing. But they will broker out rides. They have not NEMTs and taxis and senior centers and all sorts of agencies that they partner with, and so they'll take in all the calls and all the scheduling, but they may not always provide the ride. They may broker it out. So far from what my for the steering committee, they like the idea of this. It's something that we can work to, but they wanted to talk about, like, one, I wanted to bring it to this committee, and they're like, what are the next steps? How are we working towards something like that? Our first goal would have to be identifying a lead agency. With that lead agency, we'll kind of decide, is this going to be a 5311, a 5310 funding stream? Is it going to be working with seniors and individuals with disability, or are we going to do a public transit and serve all? We also are looking at how do we primarily we're looking at TripMaster by CTS. It's a software. And the reason we do that is because our two largest providers, K&P Medical and Henry County Transportation Network, already use that software. I have a meeting with someone from TripMaster later this week to try to learn a little bit more about what would that cost look like. Is that something that is feasible for us? We're speaking with ODOT to determine best funding streams. I had, like I said last week, with Macy Moore in the Office of Transit, discussing like what would that look like, what would best suit us in our rural area. But essentially, our steering committee wants to keep talking about this. I'm bringing it to you now just to let you know that this is a discussion we're having, and also because we're trying to identify lead agencies, but we're hoping to kind of draft a plan for the larger TCC committee to bring forward later on in review. So that's the hope, is that we can make something like this work out. And what's also benefit with this ride brokerage model is we don't have to deconstruct everyone's already transportation networks. So if you're providing a service for your specialized population, we're not saying, oh, just get rid of that and come on, join this new model. We're all still working together using the models we currently have, but working more efficiently and working collaboratively. So some things we're looking for in a lead agency is, one, just talk to me and I'll talk you through it. We'll see if you might be a right fit for the area. But ideally, a lead agency would be able to come up with a rough budget. Again, I can help you in drafting that. What ODOT funding stream would you hope to be utilizing? Proposed methods of brokering rides. There's lots of ride brokering models out there. I gave you 2 examples, but definitely you could organize it and coordinate it in any way that would work best for your organization. Staffing structure and just visionary. Like, ideally, we would have a ride brokerage where our providers are working together in using software system, but eventually, I mean, this is maybe a phase 3 or 4 down the road, we would have a call center or some kind of structure or operations that is public facing, that the public could contact. But that, again, is down the road. Again, this is more of a visionary plan in the hopes that, you can see where we're kind of going towards what we're going to be doing with this regionalization. Sorry. So yeah, I created this, I called it a call center, but I should probably have called it whatever I called it on here. Identifying, the first phase would be identifying our lead agency. Then we would develop MOUs with all of the providers, creating an internal ride brokerage, and eventually creating a call center. So it's a multiple year plan. I'm not saying it's a day plan, but it's definitely a visionary plan that I'm hoping is a way for us to collaborate with each other. So for folks who've maybe heard about ride brokerages before, or people who haven't, any questions out there? Do you have any concerns, things that you're excited about?
I'm excited about the ride.
Christina Deere said she's excited about the idea. Okay. Well, I encourage you to think about this. I'll send out our notes along with that visionary plan document. My hope is to have a joint vision for the 4 counties that we're working towards something. But on top of that, I still want to individually work with each county and how can we increase vehicles and access to transportation? So that is still definitely on our to-do list, and we're going to keep working on that. Any other general updates, providers out there, do you have any job openings, any new things that are happening that you'd like to share with the group? Okay. Thank you, everyone. I see a chat. Great job presenting the brokerage model. Thank you, Tony. You're so supportive. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And we will see you next quarter. And please feel free to pick up the phone and call me if you have any questions or ideas. I'm here to help. All right. Bye, everyone. If I just leave, I think I'm gonna leave.